In this video, we're going to go over the strongest builds for Gunlance post title update 1 and what the future will hold for Gunlance. If you're interested in all the optimal combos and optimal playstyle, just how to tackle the game with this weapon, I made a video for that too. Check it out. It covers anything you would ever want to know about the Gunlance, and for the best builds at lower ranks, as well as a lot of the game theory behind optimizing Gunlance damage, check out my strongest build progression video as well. A quick TLDR for that is that the Gunlance drives a lot of power through prioritizing raw damage while not caring so much about affinity. For your Gunlance, nothing changes. Both the new Gunlances are just objectively worse in terms of damage potential compared to the Guardian Lawful Bores, which is probably going to be meta for a very long time, and it's still biz with Artillery as your first level 3 decoration for making Wyvern Fire really painful, and load shells to give you another white shell, so that's 50% more white shells in a hybrid decoration fashion for your second level 3 slot. Which version of the combined load shell deco you choose doesn't matter too much, but the best option for offense is going to be magazine/attack for more sustained magazine/iron roll, and if you want some more comfort with sharpness management, then magazine/handicraft is not a bad shout either. For the level 1 decorations, I highly advise getting a level of offensive guard. It is insanely easily procced as you can weave in perfect guards while quick reloading, which is something you want to do anyways to keep shelling damage up, and it gives a percentage based damage boost, so it scales nicely. Aside from that, for your secondary weapon, you want to run another Guardian Lawful Burst for the simple reason that you now have 4 Wyvern Fires to start with instead of just 2, as well as make sharpness management even easier on the Gunlance, and you get additional flexibility for specific scenarios through different decoration setups on your Gunlance if you want. The one question we all ask, what is going to give us the most DPS? Well, it's still going to be 4-part Guardian Ebony. As already mentioned, Gunlance cares a lot about raw damage, making Burst and Agitator very valuable skills. Burst is the best skill in the game for Gunlance just because you can proc it insanely fast, have pretty much 100% uptime on it while you're just doing your regular Gunlance things. You don't have to do anything. You can just see it as an unconditional damage boost really, and the Guardian Ebony set bonus does exactly what you want. It enhances the best skill, Burst, in the game for us, and at 4 pieces it's 10 extra attack and a longer lasting burst. Originally my build here was these 4 parts of Guardian Ebony with a Jin the Hat leggings. This set here gives you 5 burst for Agitator, of which Agitator is your second most important damage skill for Gunlances. 3 out of 3 plugs, as Wyvern firing through roars and not getting interrupted mid animation is just chef's kiss, which indirectly also means higher DPS as you are able to get the damage in quicker and thus kill the monster more quickly. My variation and build here also has 3 out of 3 counter strike, as for most players, no hitting a monster is not really a reality, and Counter-Strike provides a lot of value when getting hit or knocked back with a whopping 25 attack for 45 seconds, so even if you only get hit a few times during a fight, you can still have a lot of uptime on the skill and get a lot of value out of it. You can also manipulate proccing it using a small barrel bomb, which is a very efficient way to get it, or you can preemptively nuke the small barrel bomb to start the fight off with Counter-Strike, which is a very nice attack bonus right off the bat. This set then also gives you 2 Divine Blessing, which is nice synergy with Counter-Strike and helps out with your sustain when getting hit. Alternatively, post Zoshia from title update 1, we now have some options too with the gear it gives, especially its chest piece is interesting for a Gunlancer. I would consider this set if you don't care about earplugs as much. We just swap out the chest with the Zoshia chest and now run the Gore Ebony leggings instead. Personally, I really like 3 out of 3 earplugs on Gunlances. It covers every roar in the game and it's a set and don't think about it anymore type of situation. However, the number of strong roars is limited to a few hunts, but on the other hand, notably Zoshia being one of them that can do so. Gormangal is another challenging hunt that has strong roars, but it also still means that 2 out of 3 earplugs will cover most roars in the game, so you could alternatively just go this route, but you can then also see the arguments for running 3 out of 3 earplugs. Through this way, we can actually get 5 out of 5 Agitator with 4 pieces of the Guardian Ebony set, 5 out of 5 Burst, 2 out of 3 earplugs, and 2 out of 3 Counter-Strike. Compared to the first set, it essentially trades 2 level 2 decorations for 1 level 3 decoration and 2 level 1 decoration skills. Whether it's going to be better will depend on how good earplugs and Counter-Strike are for you. The extra level 1 slots can be to finish up Divine Blessing to 3 out of 3, and then something like Shock Absorption for multiplayer, for example, Speed Recovery, specific elemental resistances depending on the monster you're fighting, adaptability, yeah, a lot of options there too. If you are able to no-hit hunts or clear them very fast, speedrunner-esque you might say, then Ambush is a good alternative in this set, as you have less level 2 slots now. Ambush gives a very nice percentage-based attack bonus if you start the hunt with a sneak attack, but it only lasts for 30 seconds. So the power of this build becomes worse the longer the hunt takes, as Ambush here comes at the expense of Counter-Strike. To ambush 2 earplugs here is a nice option with still some confidence, while 3 ambush might be interesting if you can perfect guard roars consistently, as it's another 5% extra attack bonus compared to 2 ambush. There are a lot of variables as to which set will ultimately end up being the highest DPS for you specifically, but out of the 3 mentioned sets that revolve around 4-piece Guardian Ebony set, the first set that I made will be the best for the average player as it provides the most value with imperfect play, hence why it's ultimately my personal recommendation for a general use case. But as you see, you have some alternative options to play around with in terms of running a setup with 4 pieces of the Guardian Ebony set now. On to the next set then. This is the Guardian Ebony Jindahat mixed build from my original video that I made for fights with power clashes and any of these 3 CCs as mentioned in the binding counter set bonus, which is still a great alternative meta option for specifically those type of fights. For example, Arkveld can proc power clashes and he has the ability to pin you, so that is 2 various ways of proccing binding counter in that fight. We can upgrade my original build here as well. We still use 2 pieces of the Jindahat set and 2 pieces of the Guardian Ebony set, but now we can exchange the Blango piece from earlier with the Zoa chest as well for ultimately this setup. This gives us another level 2 slot, which means we can now max Counter Strike, Earplugs, Agitator and Burst all at the same time, while also still getting some levels in level 1 skills like Divine Blessing and Adaptability, while having Binding Counter 1 and Burst Boost 1. Then finally, for our final set, a really good recovery focused setup. The new monsters as introduced with Title Update 1 give pieces with very relevant skills like Agitator and Burst, while also giving us the ability to get very valuable sustain going. So I made a recovery oriented setup where we used 2 Zoa parts, the chest and coil, to get Zoa's pulse, which gradually restores our HP. The difference between level 1 super recovery versus level 2 super recovery is only 1 HP per second. Level 1 is 1 HP per second, while level 2 is 2 HP per second, so the difference is either way pretty trivial and not worth running 4 pieces of it in my opinion. But it gets interesting when we mix it with 2 pieces from the Arkveld set. In this case, I went for the headpiece and the van braces of the Arkveld set to overall get the best skills when you combine all these pieces together. See, with Arkveld's Hunger, the set bonus from the Arkveld set, you restore HP for every group of hits in succession. And it then also depends on the weapon type in terms of how much HP you exactly restore. Heavy, slower weapons get the highest value, which in the case of level 1 Arkveld's Hunger, so 2 pieces of the Arkveld set equates to 14 HP. However, if you test it out in game, you can actually see that the Gunlance is then also considered a heavy weapon in the context of this skill, which kind of makes sense obviously, because yeah, look at the size of this thing. But then on the other hand, the Gunlance playstyle feels more to that of an agile, fast-paced weapon, with how many times you can hit in quick succession and the insane mobility that you get, as I also extensively went over in my how to play Gunlance video. But what that means is that the Gunlance gets a lot of value out of the Arkveld set in terms of sustain. It is probably one of the best weapons to use this set on if you want to go that route. Mixing up Zoshia and Arkveld here then gives us the slow gradual recovery of the Zoshia set bonus to keep us topped off with the burst of HP recovery every few seconds from the Arkveld set when attacking. So it's a very nice mix, but also especially because both heals do in fact scale of recovery up. So we run 3 out of 3 recovery up to maximize the healing from both set bonuses here, which is a whopping 30% recovery. So that's 1.3 HP per second with Zoshia and around 18 HP with Arkveld. And because our playstyle here is focused on topping us off and recovery, that then means that Counter-Strike inherently has a lot of value in this set, meaning we go 3 out of 3 with it for that whopping 25 attack for 45 seconds. Peak performance is a great shout for those final 2 level 2 skill decorations, as with this setup you can easily stay at max HP for another attack boost. With the pieces we then choose here, we can also get 5 out of 5 burst and 5 out of 5 agitator, our 2 most important damage skills, in addition to the peak performance, the Counter Strike and the 3 out of 3 recovery up. And now with crazy sustain thanks to our set bonuses. This set will not be as much DPS as with the Ebony Guardian sets or the Jin hybrid setup in the binding counter proccing situations, but the difference is not that insane and it gives you a bunch of extra sustain in trade. Therefore it might potentially be your personal best performing set, as you don't need to worry about your HP and thus guarding as much, drink potions which cost time as well, and things of that nature. So it definitely competes with the other mentioned sets in this video for sure. I personally like running it too, just for the reason that you can fight monsters like you just don't simply care about getting hit, and of course that is fun. At the end of the day, you can't really go wrong with any builds mentioned in this video. If you want me to pick for you, I would say set 1 with the Guardian Ebony pieces and a lot of comfiness, or 5 with the just mentioned recovery insanity, as they will be the most generally well performing sets, or just flip a coin if you still can't decide between those two. Thank you for watching, subscribe, like the video, you know what to do, and yes, goodbye.